Nope.
Hey everybody, today on the semi-non-regular but regular, I'm still regular. Are you regular?
Wrong day. Well,
no, today's Tuesday.
Today Tuesday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Regular day.
Yeah. Yep, here's the show. Talking about trends of 2019. What do you think they'll be? I don't know because I didn't hit the queue up button. Just watching that dude go down that water slide just makes me so happy. He was genuinely a happy fellow. You missed it. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the live stream that we used to do regularly, and now we're kind of constipated. Yeah,
because I thought that today was Wednesday.
You thought today was Wednesday.
It's been a little too long.
Playing Battlefield 5.
No, drinking beer. It ain't blue.
It ain't blue. Today on the show, what we wanted to talk about, if I could get it out of my mouth, that's what she said, is we wanted to talk about the trends for 2019. Again, these are our opinion. These are the things that we see coming about in some way, shape, or form, things that we've noticed, things that we've read.
Yeah. I was laughing because somebody's in the chat group that I was just like, I know one trend. Oh. He never shows up for work anymore.
Yeah, that... New trend for 2019, Melissa is fired. Don't bother coming in. Pack up your desk. Oh, you don't have one?
Pack up. Well, no, that's not his.
There's some solo cups in a fairly moldy bowl on your desk. If you guys don't know who we're talking about, that's Melissa, the craft show.
We'll be talking about something that he did.
We're going to talk about a trend of the Melissa did. So anyway, we're going to talk about the trends of 2019. First off, Happy New Year to you. One of the goals of this year is to convert this frequently irregular video concept into a podcast. So I'm actually going to do it this time.
To an
audio podcast. Yeah. So if you're listening to this for the very first time, yes, there are pictures, and you're welcome to jump over and look at those, but... most of it's going to be discussion. We have a Chatsky. There's a lot of dialogue that happens in the Chatsky on the YouTube version.
There is.
If you want the full experience, jump over to that. I've said this like 20 times, and I never do it this time. I've made it an official goal. It's on this piece of paper. I'm doing it.
Which means we'll probably lose it tomorrow. That's cool.
Yeah. So, tough Monday. Hard day for me. Alabama got rolled. We got rolled. We got rolled. We got rolled so bad. It's pretty bad. What does Clemson and the moon have in common?
No idea.
They can both change the tides.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Dad joke.
It is a dad joke.
It's a straight dad joke.
It's a straight dad joke.
We also, yesterday, Panasonic announced more information about their cameras. The new cameras, the full framies.
That's good.
They also...
I can flat out tell you I have no idea what the new information is.
I don't either. I watched it, but it was on in the background.
Yeah.
I was doing web
I know
design.
There's HLG and stills. That's the big news that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, I think that's the big one.
And
then they talked about the Jizz 2000.
Yeah.
Or the Jizzy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to have a slang name.
You know what's weird?
GZ 2000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be the second Jizzy that we've possibly worked with.
The GZ2000 is their new HDR production monitor. We're super stoked. We'll never own one unless Panasonic is graciously nice enough to send us one to play with. We really, really want to play with it.
Panasonic.
Shameless. From what we've heard, and they had the director of Top Gun say it was awesome. So, whatevs.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that monitor, production monitor-wise. We've been having some trouble lately, and we'll get to this in trends too. We've been having some trouble lately with 4K HDR triggering. Yes, I don't know if our chief technical officer is here.
He is not here yet.
Okay. But we've been having some trouble with that. I didn't know if anybody else has had any problems uploading 4K HDR to YouTube and having any triggering issues. But that's not the main point. The main point of this particular discussion is to talk about a couple of different things, but mostly
Alabama losing.
Shut your face. The trends of 2019. And what better way to kick off the trends of 2019 than with some shameless plugging of our demo reel for 2019. All right, there we go. That was our reel, and part of the reason why we wanted to bring that in was one of the trends for 2019 that we've seen emerging, and we incorporated it there. You saw some full frame stuff in there, but you also saw some anamorphic,
not full frame, and
some
anamorphic.
True anamorphic, and some faux anamorphic.
Exactly.
But one of the trends that we see showing up for 2019, or what we predict to be a big trend, and I've already seen it in a lot of commercials, has been anamorphic footage staying anamorphic.
Yes.
Basically not reframing it and not pushing past the barrier there. So,
or seeing the weird ones that I was telling you about earlier, where let's take anamorphic and let's turn sideways.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother conversation of insanity when you turn.
I don't even understand that insanity. Honestly.
I mean, I don't get it.
I don't either.
I honestly don't get it.
I don't.
I mean,
I understand doing a little longer video on social media sometimes because people are starting to do that for the stories and that, but anamorphic's still not. You still got to crop in.
Or not, but then it's really weird.
Yeah, but then you got the weird white bars on the sides.
So yeah, I don't know.
It's just, I don't understand.
I don't get it whatsoever. So that's one of the things was or is anamorphic. I don't know if you guys, at least in the States, I don't know how it is overseas, but in the States, one of the things that I've seen a lot of advertisers doing, the production companies or the agencies themselves, is allowing the anamorphic to flow through. Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of important, and it's a very simple trick that we can all do. Doesn't matter what your budget is or your broadcast, but it's a nice disruptive trick. That's not to say anything about creative yet. We'll get to that in a second, but it's a nice disruptive trick in the sense that all this full frame content is coming through, and then all of a sudden, boom, you hit the you get the crop lines, if you will, the 239 or whatever you decide to shoot in, 133, 139, whatever it is. So one advantage of anamorphic is being disruptive. I see that being a trend. I think we're going to see more anamorphic presented in the format of basically, you know, squeezing it into a 1080p or 4K timeline.
I agree.
And just one of the things that we've noticed, we've been pushing it and testing it, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment.
Well, the other big thing to me is that you can now get it without the bars, the trigger on.
And that was the next thing I was going to say.
Like
so oddly, we noticed that. We've posted a video. Our client actually posted. We let them post that version. If you have a chance, just Google or in YouTube, look up Genghis Khan video and just look for something. We're going to show you that video and talk about it a little bit more from a production standpoint a little bit later on in the episode. But if you have a chance, we actually had them upload the 4K anamorphic version. So we actually cropped it to anamorphic so that when it plays on YouTube, the ad in front of it, of course, is traditional 16:9. But when the actual content plays, it transitions over to 239 anamorphic. And there is no bars. It's just straight in that way. And weirdly, where I saw that the first time and paid the most attention was a massive onslaught of advertising from the Trump campaign for midterms. He had like this little short film that was presented in that format.
I gotcha.
And it's kind of interesting because if you think about politics, politicians are going to use the most competitive angles they can to disrupt. Trump certainly has enough income to hire really higher end production companies who are thoughtful, and I just noticed that, and then I started seeing it on television.
Well, I've seen it also another way because I'm going to show how little I follow politics in one way.
Well, mine was being served as an ad, though.
The 30-year-old or 29-year-old lady from New York that is now a congresswoman. She also had an anamorphic campaign video.
Right.
But it was the taking lens, focal lens, and somebody did not have it lined up correctly. So all the straight lines, like the subway are now canted, and she's canted, and it's a weird look.
You think it was done intentionally?
I don't know, actually. I don't think it is.
If the point is to be disruptive,
because it was very much, she is a, I would take it as kind of a grassroots campaign.
Let me ask you this, not making a dad joke. Which way was she leaning?
Oh, no, both ways. Both ways.
Okay.
Yeah. But at the begining, the first shot is to the left.
Okay, I'm just saying, you know.
But when she's inside the subway, it's to the right. So
is that too much film theory? Is it too much film theory there?
No, I mean, that's what we did.
I'm saying, you know, maybe you start canning people.
It could have been, but yeah. Since it was both sides, I'm going to say no.
Okay. Fair enough. Maybe she's neutral.
She could be. I doubt it, though.
I doubt it.
Everything I've heard lately.
Not in this country.
Not anymore. Not getting into politics.
Yeah, no politics. Quick beer break. Jeff is drinking.
All right, Scott. We are in. This is the opening segment of the show. Yeah. Scott Balcom, who was one of my trends for 2019.
Yeah.
Hard light, soft light.
His YouTube channel is Phalanx. You should change your YouTube name to Scott Balcom so that it's easier to brand you, bros. Love you.
But yes, okay. We are going to open now.
Yeah, now we're doing it. I was setting it up. Now we're doing the beer break. We're doing the beer break right now. We are.
Beer break. Number one. I got a cold beer sitting here that's warming up.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about it. What you got there?
This is a Fat Orange Cat, which is from Massachusetts. It's a New England IPA. She drives a Plymouth Satellite.
It looks delicious. I bet it's going to smell amazing.
It's probably going to smell amazing. I'll just leave it right over here.
So thank you.
It smells for you.
I'm drinking LaCrux because I'm on a diet. And if you guys remember last year and you watched it at the beginning of 2019, been around this channel for a while, you know that I always end up on a diet at the beginning of 2019.
And then Hop Slam comes out.
And Hop Slam comes out. I start drinking again. And then slowly regain all the weight that I have lost throughout November and December, only to start the cycle again. But not this year. Nope, not this year.
Good for you. Because this year, today, I just told my wife that she shrunk my laundry, because that way it explains why I feel fat. Did not go very well.
So, Jeff and I have a trend we've talked about before. When we wrap a project, we have pizza, ice cream, pizza. It's soon to be vegan, soy block, vegan. Which means we eat some vegan food that's healthy, and then we eat a block of soy protein of some sort, that gelatinous goo. What is that stuff called? Tofu. That's it.
Then back to vegan?
Vegan, tofu, vegan. That's
toilet.
Toilet. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be doing that one by yourself.
Yeah. Well,
I'll do pizza next to you while you eat.
Yeah. What if it's vegan pizza? With tofu, we secretly replaced Jeff's cheese with tofu.
See, honestly, tofu is the thing that I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with doing stuff vegan, actually.
No, I like vegan
tofu
food.
Is...
Nah, you got to get the right kind.
I know. I've tried for years.
There's hard tofu, soft tofu.
So far, not a fan of tofu, but
no.
I will give it a shot.
There's a slight possibility that my wife and children come through the door. I did not tell her we were live. She asked if we were at the office. I'm kind of hoping
Agreed,
that happens.
Scott. I don't know how you celebrate with
delightful.
tofu.
She's asking if I have a thumbtack.
Should you do a blood sample for the kids?
Yeah, I have a thumbtack. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe you guys get to meet my wife. She'll be horrifically embarrassed.
She will not be. She won't be happy.
I'm just not going to tell her we're live.
That's fine.
It'll just be this really awkward...
Be real awkward Jeff and Drew sitting on the same side of a
Why
desk.
Sitting on the... Oh, we were about to shoot a video. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I got it. I know how to lie to my wife. Wait. Probably shouldn't say that. All right, 2019 trends. We're back on topic.
I have no idea how to do that myself.
One of the other things that Jeff and I were talking about from a color perspective, and it's kind of a twofold thing. One of the other trends for 2019 we're seeing is what we call Moody Blacks or deep shadows, darkened shadows. You're just seeing more...
Back to the higher contrast,
high con. Yeah, that's one of the things it started a little bit last year, but I have a feeling we're going to see more of that this year. I think we're going to see a little more of that.
We kind of went a little ways that way on our reel.
Yeah,
we did. Not too much.
For you didn't like it.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it, but at the same time, I was a fan of it. It needs to be a stylized part. So,
I think it's kind of important to talk about because...
Argument could be made.
Well, look, a lot of people... Yeah. You and I, for a long time, have shot a very clean sort of palette. That's what the clients want.
Yep.
However, that shift is part of our shift in kind of the story approach that sometimes you need to have a little more... You know, a darker element. You need to pull the saturation.
Or a way more stylized element.
Well, that's what you're talking about.
It looks a little bit more, honestly, like feature.
Yeah.
I kind of feel instead of a commercial film.
What do you mean, Jeff? You mean cinematic? Cinematic, Jeff. Cinematic.
No.
Cinematic, Jeff. Oversaturated is cinematic.
No.
Cinematic.
I could easily argue oversaturated is not cinematic at all.
That's the internet.
Unless you're talking about a quarter of the shots from Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible 5, I didn't care for the grade in that movie. I watched it in 4K HDR, and it did not... It was in spots. It was unpleasant.
You want to know who I feel bad for with that movie?
Who's that?
First AC.
Yeah, that whole movie's out of focus.
Because there's a lot of out of focus stuff in that movie.
It's tough. I'm sure that was tough. It looked like they were shooting WFO.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of WFO shots.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
All right, but that's one of the things is sort of looking at higher contrast video being part of that. And integrated into that kind of comes into what we teased on earlier, which is this concept of vertical video. We've seen it, and if you don't understand what I'm saying, it's... or to describe for those audio listeners out there, it's going to be when you shoot on your cell phone as you would hold it, as you normally hold your cell phone.
It's Snapchat or
Instagram stories, IGTV. Although IGTV, I think, is gone. I don't think it's relevant.
It's really not. I mean, they tried to make it relevant as much as they could.
I don't think
the hard part was they never monetized it for the people, just like the normal person being able to make money off of it.
I totally agree. I think that vertical video side of things, although I don't like it, I think it's going to be part. It's going to be part of the way we approach content. I think we've already seen bigger brands doing it, but I think it's going to trickle down into those smaller, small businesses, medium-sized businesses. You'll see more of that kind of content coming out, which will then loop into something I wanted to share. And also, although it's ultra frustrating to me, I wanted to share it with you. I also believe that 1:1 aspect ratio, the Facebook style or Instagram style video, where there is not crop lines, there's no negative, sort of space around it from framing. I gotta say, I don't like the look of it. But from a results standpoint, purely talking about what we've seen with our clients, we had one particular client in healthcare. They launched that video. We did a 1:1 cut for them, and within 24 hours, it was close to 20,000 views.
Yes.
I mean, it just Granted, content was part of that, and we'll get to that again, saving that part. But releasing that 1x1 square just completely opened the floodgates for them, and they got better results out of it because it just Facebook likes it, and that's one of the things. If I can share a tip with you, and you're in the business or you're promoting yourself or whatever else, consider 1x1 squares. I can tell you from firsthand experience, and that came to me from some other friends that specialize in Facebook ads. That is 100% a fact. I can see a trend in engagement that's much higher on a 1x1 than I can on anything else.
For right now.
Do you have to approach, just out of curiosity, we didn't really discuss it, but normally, because of the way that was delivered, but normally, would you have regraded the 1x1 square? And the reason I bring that up is, because here's the thing. A lot of times you and I might have a soft vignette on the edges of a 16:9 that is then lost because you're cropping in. Would you regrade for a 1x1 square?
Not for that.
Or should you?
Potentially.
All right.
Potentially. It depends on if... Because, like, I will do vignettes or soft vignettes to focus your eye to certain spots. If those spots are getting cut as well, then I would argue to regrade it.
Yeah.
So you can refocus to a new spot in a 1x1.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. The wide ones, like the overall vignette on the outside, just to add like a little finishing touch kind of thing, probably not.
No?
Yeah, probably wouldn't.
I'd also
probably let it play a little bit because it'll still bleed in on the top corners, just not as heavy.
No.
Around it.
Not if it's a cut-in. Not that if it's a 4K cut-in, I'm getting rid of it.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I probably still wouldn't.
Yeah? What about sharpening? Would you add sharpening to a 1x1? Because you are essentially...
Technically, knowing the audience of most of the stuff that we do, probably on most spots.
Yeah. I'm just wondering. I think it's a relevant
no, it is.
Point.
It depends on the client still.
Yeah. Or the story.
Yeah. Because like Con, I wouldn't sharpen.
Right.
Not for a 1x1. But the nurse recruiting videos probably would sharpen a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably should have sharpened them.
Yeah, some stuff like that. You know, depending on what it's for.
Yeah. What's going on in the Chatsky?
Scott Balcom.
Scott Balcom
is doing it all. 2019, How to Lie to Your Wife.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a good trend.
It's a trend. Trend for 2019.
Bradford Young style. Not necessarily... it's going back to the darker blacks and that. It's more in crushing it. And Bradford style, to me, is like really the nuance of what's in the blacks.
Oh, no. His style is like...
Because you can
There's still detail in the majority of his versus... What I'm referring to is those more moody...
Yeah, you're taking your blacks and you're making your black black.
Yeah.
Where it's one solid color.
Right. Maybe even past the zero line.
Yeah.
Like really pulling it down and putting some business on it.
Yep.
Just to flip it around a little
bit. Which
is
a stylized choice.
Yeah, that's totally right.
Yeah.
Here's a trend that I think is, we've talked about it, we teased it a little bit. I'm curious to see what happens, but I don't think 4K HDR, or just HDR in general, aside from gaming, which is a separate issue, I don't think we are going to see, aside from television boxes, the box that is a giant advertisement sitting in Best Buy, I don't think we're going to see much more HDR content. Yeah. You might see it from the studios. I just don't think you're going to see it coming out of the... I don't think you're going to see a lot of content going up with it. I think at this point it's still prohibitive.
It is.
And YouTube still has a problem with, I think their auto LUT is garbage.
Yeah, it is.
All the other stuff, like Mystery Box and all those guys and gals that have shown how to put a ride-along, what is that even called now? I can't even remember.
It's the SDR conversion LUT.
Yeah, the SDR conversion LUT, the transform LUT. I just don't... I've yet to see one really...
I haven't seen one pop perfectly yet.
Not to match.
Yeah.
Now that could be user error. I will claim that. But.
Yeah, probably part of it also is you're going from the amount of range that you have of an HDR image to the amount of range of an SDR image.
Right.
Yeah, but still just don't think it's viable because TVs are going to get there.
Right.
And HDR is going to become a viable thing. It might be once televisions in the industry has moved to 8K.
Yeah.
Which is on its way at some point as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because I saw that Samsung, I think it was, put out their 98-inch 8K television at CES.
Yeah.
which I'm just.
But there's no content for it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should do. Start producing 8K content. Be ahead of the curve by 10 years.
It does require a better adoption from Scott Balcom. Called us out on Balk like talk. Walk, chalk.
What did I say? Balcom?
I think we said.
We're from the South.
Both said Balcom.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. I do think it's going to be there. It probably will be 2020. It might be a little bit later. But I do agree. And I think sports is going to become a major player in HDR this year.
Right. But
HLG, live broadcast.
Yeah.
It's going to become a big thing.
The issue
and the TVs are starting to, people are starting to pick it up. Most people don't even know what HDR is for, though.
But it's a very select amount. Like
it is.
Then the College Football National Championship is a very big game.
Yes.
Whether you like the teams, whether you hate the teams, doesn't matter. It's a very big game. It has a very big draw to it.
It does.
It was not broadcast, at least on DirecTV and 4K HLG.
I got you.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead, they were showing a basketball game for like the Pelicans and somebody else. And it was like, why are they not showing this game?
Yep.
So I think there's still a challenge of entry. I'm sure the Super Bowl obviously should be broadcast in HLG.
It should be.
But if it's on a major network, the networks are probably not going to be in a spot to make that. So I think 4K HDR is important. I think it is a beautiful way of seeing content, in my opinion.
Oh, it is.
If it's done right.
Yep.
But I don't know if it's going to be a trend worth investing a lot of time, energy, and money into. Right?
Yep.
I think it's a fun consumer trend. I just don't know if it's a fun professional trend.
Yeah, because we haven't found a client that has really been into it at all.
A couple of them, we threw it away for free.
Yeah.
And they just were like, we're not worried about it. So it's something we throw away. I see some
not a big one so far.
Technopilot saying something?
Yeah, we definitely need to see more development in HDR delivery, I feel like, before I can sell it to most clients.
That's totally true.
Yeah, I completely agree. Right now, really, the main way to show it is to post it on the YouTube. And then you have to have something.
I think Vimeo triggers.
Yeah. But half the time, you have to have something to trigger it.
Yeah.
Like the Chromecast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the TVs don't natively do it.
Yeah. But I think it's got a little ways to go, but it's on its way. And Scott saying 8K is at CES right now. It definitely is. It's at the door. It's just, I still think it's a year or two away before it becomes a reality.
But CES in a lot of cases is like when you see the Detroit Auto Show and you see this car, and then it comes out 5 years later and it doesn't look like it did.
Japan has been knocking at 8K for a while,
right?
And they're already starting. Their talks are already starting to go towards 16K. For some things, and it's just like we've got to catch up,
right? Yeah, but do we? That's my point.
No, honestly, I don't think.
I don't think it's gonna. I mean, if the majority of people are watching content on a cell phone, right, on their iPhone, their iPad, whatever, until they make an 8K iPad, which even then it's so small, like 1080p looks pretty solid on a Retina display. Yeah. Until really they can prove that, I just don't know if it's worth the push or not. Is kind of my thing.
Yep.
So I think it's a trend. I just think it's a trend in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's definitely a trend.
That's the caveat. One of the other things we've been talking a good bit about is seeing live content shift a bit. So obviously gaming on like YouTube and Twitch was made for it, but obviously gaming has a very popular or has a very strong foothold, if you will, a Fortnite.
Can't say much. I haven't played in a while.
Fork knife.
A fork knife.
Fork knife content alone is very popular in the live streaming side. So we've seen it in gaming, but what I do think we're going to see is a bigger trend in live content from different perspectives, like from an angle of where it doesn't necessarily need to be live, but it's a way to help promote. And the reason I say that is because YouTube now has the premiere function where you can premiere video, which is like a live chat. We've done that. We tested it with our reel.
We have.
Facebook has it.
Yep.
I'm sure Instagram probably has it. I don't totally know. I don't use anything else. I don't do Twitter. I don't think Twitter would. But we are seeing that live content is still getting preferential treatment, which means live content will surge. And I think it's probably always going to be talking heads, much like this live stream.
Yeah.
But inclusive of that, I think you'll see packages coming in. So what I think will eventually happen is that hybridization of packaged content with a live component. And an example of that would be like something like a live Q&A. Right?
Yes.
We've been testing that this year.
Yeah.
out of force with a client that had a young lady we've talked about before, but the lady's going through cancer treatment, and so we document, as filmmakers and storytellers, we document her journey through her cancer treatment, her recovery, various little topics along the way, almost like news packages.
Yeah, and then, I was going to say, we're kind of a live news package.
It is, but it's more doco style.
It is.
Right? It's a little more production value than typical news.
It's more.
And then she does a live Q&A when we premiere that video.
Yes.
Like each and every time that happens. And it's kind of a fascinating concept that has been interesting in terms of watching it from a study standpoint. So the client's happy, she's happy, all that's fine. Yeah. But there's been some ups and downs. There's technical hurdles, there's all kinds of problems. We're way more professional with them than we are this live stream.
No, easily.
Because they're paying us.
Yes.
YouTube doesn't pay us.
No.
I mean, they do, but it's like 40 cents a view.
Yeah.
God, I wish it was 40 cents a view. That'd be amazing. Hold on.
Well, we still would have
made much right now. It's 0.4 cents a view.
That makes sense. Maybe even 0.04 cents.
Yeah, it's probably that far down the pipeline. So I think one of the things we'll see is a lot more live content that's structured live content, as opposed to two knuckle turds talking to you via YouTube.
Yeah.
Or one knuckle turd if you're Scott Balcom.
Mm-hmm.
Balcom.
Or
sorry.
Jeff Fagan.
Or Geoff Fagan. Or Ninja. Is that a fork knife guy? Yeah, you know all about it.
It was.
Jeff beat Ninja
well,
once.
He's the one I haven't
Jeff beat Ninja. Hashtag. Maybe we'll go trending.
He's the dude that makes $1 million a month.
$1 million?
Playing freaking videos.
Yeah, live content. See? There's the power in it.
Yeah. There is. And there truly is.
Back to the comments. I see some orange bits.
Oh, it's still the same orange bits.
Same orange bits.
Yeah, except for I don't see the value of 8K or higher delivery anytime soon. I just want to capture for flexibility, which is completely understandable.
Cold War Jesus? What does that say? vMix blows by Wirecast. We'll have to look at vMix.
Yeah.
We were given Wirecast, so we use it. But I'd prefer vMix if it's cheaper.
Yeah,
and does better, because Wirecast is super expensive.
Yeah.
They'll probably kill our streams.
We're definitely not going to be
I need to wake up my
buying a new one.
I spool something up, maybe. There it goes.
Even Scott's daughter is telling us we're saying it wrong. Yeah, I do love the premiere
Scott's
feature.
daughter.
It's been really nice.
Yeah.
Live shows, interviews. Geoff is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are too. I was talking to Drew about something I was thinking of doing as a personalized kind of project, as a fun little thing. But thinking about it now, if it's possible, I might live it.
The beer thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
You can tell them about it. I don't think that hurts anything.
Oh, no. It's for the Genghis Kong thing. We have our local brewery, Haint Blue. Them and the Exporium, we kind of helped put them together, and they are now making a beer for the opening night of it that is based, not really based off of Con, but it's got The Great Civilizer is the name of it, which is kind of where the marketing is going for Con. And so they're going to untap it and pour it into kegs, and I was thinking of going up there and doing it because the Exporium did a Science of Beer piece, and having Josh possibly interview Matt while they're pouring it.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
See, that's different. That's
but then I could do a live stream with it.
Yeah. One of the other trends shifting into it is this model. We've seen it. You've seen the Walmart commercial that has taken the internet by storm? This Walmart commercial with all these iconic 80s cars. Yes. Now, there's an extended version because they made a donut cut, but there's an extended version. You have all these iconic vehicles. Cinderella's is the one.
Cinderella's is pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah,
and Bumblebee's really
Bumblebee's
awesome
great looking too. Obviously, I was happy to see Kit from Knight Rider, but I was most excited when I saw the DeLorean.
The DeLorean, the National Lampoon's wagon for me.
Right.
Kind of think they missed the A-Team.
Or Magnum PI's car.
Yeah, that's true.
But the problem with Magnum PI is it's on the air, so maybe that's confusing. But the original, that Ferrari or whatever it was. Point is that nostalgia, I think, is going to be another portion of this that we see a bigger trend from a creative standpoint. So now kind of shifting focus on the creative side, I think nostalgia is going to play a much heavier is going to have a much heavier weight. Because again, you've got to be disruptive and get people's attention. Jeff and I are at our current age group in that prime money spending category. We're not the youth group that they want, but on television, we're the prime spending category in terms of age. Not necessarily gender, but in terms of age. We fall into that category. So I think we're going to see a lot more nostalgia because it appeals to...
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, Walmart, good. I posted about it, right?
It's definitely a major step for Walmart.
Yeah.
I almost said the other company.
Yeah.
Which is a major push against the other company.
Right. Yeah, because Target's had this for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, they did commercial campaigns and they do very well with them, but they've never hit the nostalgia button like Walmart just did.
And I don't even want to think about how much it must cost.
Yeah. I mean, Target, you could argue that the Target dog kind of looks like Spud McKenzie, going real old with it.
Yeah.
So you could say there's a little bit of nostalgia in that aspect, but never anything that's thrown right in your face like Walmart.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That was the first thought for me was that must have been a lot of money for the rights for all those properties.
The production value of the spots was solid, but it was a lot.
Yeah. And then you go with Nolan's, or not, that wasn't Nolan's, that's the DC one now.
What?
Batmobile.
Oh, that is the new one. Yeah. But even then, like if you didn't know what it was, somebody does.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it did.
It's automatically you kind of already know it's a Batmobile of some sort.
And they couldn't show faces.
Yep.
Because I'm sure that licensing was even more.
Oh yeah.
So with the exception of a Disney princess, but I don't know if you can license a princess. I mean, who knows?
Disney. If somebody's figured out a way to license it, it would be Disney.
That's fact. So that's one of the sides of it, is seeing nostalgia take that front and center. The other side of it is I think one of the bigger trends, and this all kind of relates back into it, some of these are technical and then this is more on the creative side. I think this concept of longer, richer stories, I think, is going to be a trend of 2019. And that's including the fact that I think video content on social platforms or other distribution methods is going to not be kind of the idea that it needs to be 2 minutes or less or 60 seconds. I think there might be limitations on the platform like Instagram, but I think you're going to see longer content start making its way through. I think you'll see longer branded films, branded entertainment. I think that is going to make another uptick, and we will see more of that content, which is part of our shift in focus has become back to more narrative base in a lot of ways, and going back to storytelling, or as we say, story first. I hashtagged it because that's ours, but like that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put story first in all things, and there's a whole I think there's gonna be a movement, whether conscious or subconscious, the creative types like all of us listening or watching or whatever it might be. I think a lot of us are going to pick up on it. I think we're going to see that pattern of the hero's journey, or Dan Harmon's hero's journey modified. I think you're going to see the hero's journey will become more of a prominent feature of creative.
It will.
And then we did have a friend, RT, who's a creative director. Very, very smart guy. Pays so much attention to content. He's very bright this way. We were discussing it with him, and he agrees, but he's also saying that time for turnaround is going to increase, which makes it for an interesting scenario in that
time for turnaround is going to decrease.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, it's got to get out faster is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So you've got to get product out faster. Your videos, your content has to get out quicker. And I think because of that, you will see, I think we're going to see a quality dip. Which is why
you will for certain things, certain agencies, stuff like that. You'll see a quality
production companies, same thing. But that's why I think those going back to it, the moodier, darker shadows work into your favor because you can hide a lot more. You can allow more to fall off.
More stuff into stuff like that.
Right. You don't have to spend as much time in post or in production lighting it or in pre-production building it. You can kind of get away with it. So I think we're going to end up seeing this series of trends that'll be story-driven content. The hero's journey, if you will become much more prominent in video content. And frankly, it should be prominent in all things, but I think it'll be very strong in the video side of things, and it'll just be more of a pattern. Now, I can only speak to what I see, and that's my opinion. That's what all this content is in the States. That's what I think we're going to end up with.
Me too. I also think that with that time constraint that's definitely, I mean, we've seen it already that it's happening. You're going to see a push back to simpler creative as well, I think. Like the Post-it that I showed you, where it's just super,
Who did that,
super
Ogilvy?
simple. Yeah, Ogilvy did it.
If you have a chance, check out Ogilvy's Post-it Notes campaign, where it's basically, celebrating those who work late at night.
Yes.
Very, very simple, but you'll also see nighttime.
Very simple, but it's
moody,
clearly posted.
And then very posted.
Yeah.
But it's very moody at the same time. You'll
is.
see exactly what, if that's I think it's still, I don't think there's video of it, right?
No, it's all I've found so far campaign-wise is all stills.
Right.
But it's it catches your attention quickly. Mm-hmm. It's a good stills campaign. It's a very good stills campaign.
But it does contain those elements, with the exception of Anamorphic and some of the other ones.
And it's super simplistic.
Right. Right.
Hold on, I've got to go back up here real quick.
All right. Back to the comments.
Wondering if you can answer that question on demo reel earlier, way at the beginning. I forgot about this Technopilot. I'm sorry. Was asking if all of our content in our reel is from last year only.
No, it's a mix.
Yeah.
Majority of it is
most of that reel
last
is
year.
Yeah, last year. We do have some things that are not from last year.
But I do think there's a few things in there that are not from last year.
Yep. I know there's a few.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like Office Depot in there, I think.
Yeah.
And Kara stands might be in there too. But the majority of it is from last year, yes.
Yes.
We have a lot of content. Like, we have some things that aren't out yet, so we're not allowed to. One of the funniest and weirdest things is I said that time to get distribution out. But one of the things that we've found is the bigger the client, the slower the process, right? And it makes sense because they got
you got more people you have to go.
Exactly right. So we have a couple of bigger projects. One of them is and some of the shots are in there, but it's this huge anamorphic job that we did. I mean, it was massive. We were shooting on the Master Primes. We streamed some when we were up there. That's where this is the demo for Wirecast joke came from.
It is.
We have a lot of those, and that's still not out yet. And my God, we started that in May.
Yeah, it took us from May till
November is when November 1st is when I delivered the final print.
Yeah,
I think that's right, or maybe it was November 30th.
Yeah, I think it's the end of November.
It might have been November 30th.
I think I finally got to go in the color correction on it in November.
Yeah, I think it was November 30th was the final print. So it's just kind of time to table to get things out the door.
I need translation for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. The hero's generated by Glove and Boots.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Also true. Scott Balcom.
Yeah, Scott Balcom.
The bigger the project, the slower the pay. I'm saying that for the audio podcast side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some cases.
I think most cases it usually is.
It changes pretty regularly.
It also depends on if they have an accounting department, too.
We have one client that's one of our bigger clients, and they pay...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're like net 10.
Yeah.
The invoice goes out, and I'm usually paid and cutting checks in 10 days. It's pretty crazy. I did see somebody mention the Peter McKinnon. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you... And I watched it because I was curious. I was at the gym, I think. Yeah, I watched it at the gym. I sat down and watched it at the gym. I was on the elliptical or whatever. And I watched it. I don't totally always follow Peter, but it was worth looking at. And it was a good doc. It was really interesting. Like, it was, I can relate to it. I've been down that story. And he followed a hero's journey. He, the whole process of stepping out of the status quo, call to adventure, and kind of going through the whole thing. There was a villain. In this case, it was, other photographers, as he put it. It's like a Best Buy floor opened up, the doors open on Black Friday. It's one of those kind of things. That level of content, I think you're going to see more of. That could have been easily branded by a camera company, and it may have very well been.
Yeah. Well, it was an advert for Canon.
There you go.
It was.
So it could have been easily branded in that capacity, and I still would have enjoyed it. It was a well-done piece. I think that's what all of us need to kind of think about going forward on, not just as a revenue capture point. That's not what I'm saying. It's more a matter of human beings, our nature is to tell stories. You're watching this video to hear us tell stories, and you're telling your own. If you comment on this video in any capacity, or you're listening to the podcast yelling at the radio at our stupidity, then you are quite literally in it. Did Scott Balcom just go? Oh, no. I thought he went live. I just saw I got a YouTube notice. I was like, Scott Balcom, you went
right at the beginning of the show.
I want to figure out how to put the live streams to live stream so we can have side-by-side streaming action.
We can get Scott on here and then Jeff, and we can combine all the podcasts.
I think we should do that, but I just got to figure out how to do it. I'm not very good with the streaming part. That's a challenge.
Everything's a challenge for you.
So one of the things that we were talking about earlier, we've mentioned a couple times, we've shown this video, but now we were going to kind of talk about it, do, I guess, a breakdown-ish on it so we can answer a few more questions. If you've already seen this video, feel free to tune out. But this was the Explorium video, or our client was a place called the Explorium Science Center. Wait, Gulf Coast Explorium Science Center. Yes. They had a project coming out in which they needed to, or they had an event coming up in which they needed to promote. So it's an exhibit on Genghis Khan. So they engaged CRFTSHO for the story. That took me forever to say.
It did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Jeff and Scott.
Oh. Bromance?
Because everybody has a battle royale. Scott said live stream battle royale.
Oh, I love it. That's brilliant.
And I'm not going to answer that question, Jeff. Scott asked about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Our thoughts on it.
Oh, yeah.
Because he said story doesn't matter. Only cameras matter, story's boring.
Oh, there we go. But inside of that, they had an ask, which was to get people's attention. So we rolled out a campaign. I don't have all the components of it. We're just going to show the longer form. Again, if you've already seen it, I apologize. For those listening, just listen to the sound effects. I probably won't cut this stuff out because I'm lazy. But it's about 1 minute and 14 or 15 seconds. So I wanted to show that. I got to make sure that it's going to play. Yeah, it looks like it will. Make sure it's going to play. And we can kind of talk about it. We've also got some drone behind-the-scene footage we can show as well. So here is this. It's presented in anamorphic format. It went to broadcast in anamorphic format. It is moody. It went on
Facebook as anamorphic format.
Yep. It is very moody. There is a 4K HDR version that we are working to get out there. We presented it in a 1x1 square. You can kind of see where I'm going. We did not present it in a vertical video format. No. But we also took into consideration the very simple fact that we had to put the story first, and visually, like on Facebook where 85% of videos are watched without sound, we wanted to at least get someone's attention enough to watch it. We'll talk about the results and such. This is directed by Jeff, Melissa Etheridge.
Yep.
Jeff and I, Worley and I, lensed it, and we had a really great crew. The nighttime drone stuff is by Chris Odom from Firefly Media.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so as we've mentioned, we've shown that before, but we wanted to show it again, and now that we can kind of talk about it in a little more detail, shot on Kowa Anamorphics, presented in anamorphic format. Part of the process in putting that project together was they had a very limited budget. It was good. It was a good budget. It was good enough to get that. But we kind of had to approach it a little bit differently than normal. We had a small crew, and everything had to be packaged very tightly and concisely in order to make it work very well.
Yeah. Shot on Red Epic GH5S.
It was shot on GH5S and the Red Epic Dragon 6K. But not at 6K.
What drone did we use?
That was Inspire 2.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't remember.
Yeah. So we wanted to show that because I think it's a culmination of what we see the trends being into this year. For us, it was a start on it. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect exhibit of all the trends, but it does showcase what we believe going forward will be, at least for our style format, that's what we're going to go after. The holdback being there's no nostalgia necessarily in that. Had we made some kind of cool reference to not Showdown Little Tokyo. Wrong movie. What's the one with Kurt Russell? I just can't think of it. The guy explodes and looks like lettuce. Why can I think of that movie?
Oh my god.
Someone?
China.
Yeah, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah. Thank you.
Had we made some costuming references to that or put somebody in that T-shirt,
yeah,
maybe that's calling on the nostalgic. Now that I say that out loud, we should have done that. We should have figured out.
We probably should have.
We should have snuck it in there somehow for someone to pick up on it. So that's kind of where we're headed in our side. We're not saying we're trendsetters. That's not the point of that. No, I'm just saying that we're living and dying by what we believe in, which is that these trends are kind of what's best to tell the stories in the content. It could change, like 2020. It could be everything's presented vertically. Hell, TVs could go vertical. I don't know. I mean, wacky crap could happen.
Please no.
Yeah.
Well, we do have computer screens where people turn them vertical now.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
Not a whole lot. Biggest part of that was dealing with a horse.
Yeah.
For con.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not necessarily your normal creative problems.
No, we got really lucky in that having a horse. There's one of the top stunt trainers in the city.
Could have made a Bill and Ted reference from Johnny.
Oh, we sure
could. True. We should have.
We should have made a Bill and Ted.
That would have been a big one because Con was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should have done Bill and Ted.
Should have.
Smart. Good job, Jamie. We should have figured that out. Anyway, so yeah, we're lucky that the horse side of things, we actually had professional trainers. So we had horse handlers. They are stunt horses. They are used. There happens to be a very fancy stunt training school. They also, their primary goal of their school is actually to help, I believe it's in like maybe even PTSD, but it's people, it's individuals that have a level of handicap or are facing some sort of physical challenges. It allows them the opportunity to learn from the horses, and they have a really great story. I really want to tell their story. I've just got to figure out the time to do it because they're non-for-profit in that capacity. They don't have a ton of money, but it's a really fascinating story of transformation. And I went to their Christmas event, and it was absolutely amazing. It was super awesome and fun. And you got to see the smiles on these kids' faces, adults too, was just, it was amazing. Truly, truly amazing experience.
Can you discuss a shot where the horse is just walking down the street wide? I feel like there's a lot of detail on what could have been destroyed by the darkness and the Christmas lights on the poles. Thinking we're talking about the wide shot from the drone.
Yeah, the drone shot.
Which would be, we shot at Cinema D&G for one, in RAW.
It was an Inspire 2, whatever, the higher end Inspire 2 camera.
Yeah, shot as raw as possible and exposed more for the darkness itself, the dark spots of it. So the lights at one point, they're just going to be lights. So it's make the call to go more towards the possibility of blowing out the lights, keeping the blacks, which is what I talked with Chris I'm trying to do.
The torch, part of the reason why we had the torch there was because the amount of light that torch put off kept our hero lit. Yes. Meaning we knew what that was. That torch, he was holding it with his right hand, so his upper body shoulder area was roughly a 5.6. So, meaning if we went to a 2, we knew we had still enough latitude. So I think the drone was shot at a 2.
I think it was. It was 2 or 2.8.
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Yeah.
So it was as WFO as we could, and you know the basic level of it. I actually, while we're talking, and sorry to the audio individuals, this is just some random footage. This is not from that. This is from a Mavic.
Any additional lighting on the street? Absolutely not, Scott. It was all straight street lights.
Didn't have the budget for all that stuff. Nope. We also chose the street very carefully.
We did. It is probably the most lit street we have, except for the one that's close to our airport, which doesn't do us any justice for what we were trying to pull off.
No.
For location-wise.
So even this is Mavic 2 at night. This is just behind-the-scenes footage.
That's raw Mavic 2 stuff.
And that's just raw footage. That's just straight out of the Mavic 2. Yeah. I forget which one it is. Is it the Hasselblad one?
I think it is.
Yeah.
This is the one he was using.
And so
shows Chris, how small our crew is right there.
Yeah, you can see how tiny the crew is. That's everyone involved, including the police officer, I think. Or maybe she's in the next shot. We had one courtesy officer to kind of help tie things together.
Was absolutely amazing, actually.
Yeah. No, she was delightful.
Yeah. I want to say it's the X7, Jeff, but I'm not 100% positive on that.
Yeah, I actually don't know. There's my wife putting out a torch in a bucket that later melted. It was hilarious. So, as you can see, it was a small crew. We made it work. We figured it out. We made the story work. And it was just kind of the process that we took in order to get them some attention. Now, it doesn't matter how cool something is. At the end of the day, like, I know the majority of viewers that hang out with us or those listening might be tech heads like the rest of us. We're geardos. We love equipment. We love talking about it. But in the end, our job as filmmakers that are being paid to produce a result is the result. And so one of the things we're really happy with is the numbers. The numbers from the Genghis Khan, like the early stuff, the amount of chatter that it caused, the amount of dialogue for the city was phenomenal. And I mean, it was a true blessing, and we're grateful.
Yes.
The gang at the Exploring did a great job releasing the content, and then it did its own thing and got people talking. I've had several people reach out that don't know me and have never worked with CRFTSHO, that not necessarily bringing us leads, but just saying that how much they loved the commercial, how inspired they were by it, how great it was, how interested they were, all that kind of good stuff. They have no bearing, so there's no reason for them to say that beyond that. And then it's just passed around, and constantly we catch stories of people talking about how great it was. That's not a pat on the back. That's a pat on the back for the client, because it was their story we told, right?
So at the end of the day, ROI still just of people remembering that we have the Exploring,
right,
and going in has been massive for them.
Yeah, it brought customers in. The exhibit's not even open, but it's been bringing customers back to the Exploring. So those are the kind of results you want to get, and I think the way to achieve those is by putting a good story first. It needs to be pretty, sure, but it needs to have a story. It needs to have some kind of compelling content in it that captures people's attention, and it worked pretty darn well in that case. Now, technology did help us. Some of those shots we would have not been able to do without a GH5S. Yeah. Because the red would have been
bringing probably another night and a bunch of lights.
Right. Certainly for what we had.
Yeah.
Some of the nighttime exteriors were lit, just not the street shots. Yeah. The building was lit.
The building was lit, and the bar has one light coming into it.
Yep.
To help accentuate the foreground.
Yeah.
On it, but yeah, it's very little lighting from us. It's a lot of what we found lighting.
Just a lot of location scouting. There's a lot of pre-pro involved in putting that together.
And knowing, really a big part for us was knowing the city.
Yeah.
Like that we're shooting in.
Yeah, would it have been the same in another city? I doubt it.
No.
I'll be honest.
We would have probably done it a little differently. And we wouldn't have as much time.
Probably would have had to have a bigger crew on that too. So that's part of it too. I mean, you got to choose your locations. I mean, you know, we'll see what happens, like in terms of their actual numbers in the end. But you know, everything preliminary, creatively, we accomplished what we set out to do, and I think that's
once we get
that's
to
our
the
job
end
as filmmakers.
see the tickets and the people that come through.
Right.
So when we'll truly find out if we truly succeeded or didn't.
I saw earlier Trev asked if we'd been following anything with the Panasonic. We have not been following anything with it, with the new cameras.
We really haven't.
I'm excited to kind of see what they can do. Tyler. Sorry, Tyler. I'm excited to see what they can do. I have no idea about all the specs. I didn't go camera crazy on it, simply because right now... Yeah, I know the full frame part.
Well, that's the part that's how
I know there's a new lens mount. Really it's like an L mount or something.
Yeah.
But I was more excited, right now I'm more excited about exploring some other cameras and other opportunities we haven't touched. We have yet to play with the Blackmagic non-pocket camera.
4K.
4K, sorry. We have not played with... Jeff's played with some footage.
We played with some footage from Jeff.
Geoff.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it.
And we've kind of talked about it. I mean, I think, in all honesty, the best review I've seen, and I'm not being biased because he's my friend, but Scott Balcom's... Balcom. Did I get it right?
You said Balcom first.
Yeah, Balcom's
You were correct first. Then you corrected yourself to
wrong. Scott's review of it is maybe... He got trolled pretty hard, but his review of it is the most honest review I've seen on it. I don't feel like he had... Somehow... I don't know if you bought that camera, Scott, but I did feel like... A lot of times when people do reviews, they just spent a couple grand or $1,000 or whatever it might be, the cost of the camera. So because they spent money on it, their bias is in place to protect their own ego, right? And so I did feel like you'd remove that from the equation. So I thought it was a really great review, and that's not a shameless plug. I think
it was a great review.
Jeff.
It's another really good review.
Had really good reviews as well. That was really honest. And I think
he has switched over to all Black Magic.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely. I think I'm 100% certain on that.
Well, he still has Mavic.
Yeah, but I mean, like camera, I think he has gone away from GH5s.
Yeah.
And gone to Black Magic.
So I think
which works better for him.
Yeah, depending on what you're doing with it. But they're all tools. We've said it a billion times. They're every single camera is a tool. Though if I had my option, I'd probably shoot on an XL as much as humanly possible. If like
probably
a fairy came along and immediately changed our red into an XL, I would just I would shoot really stupid videos on I just whatever I could.
We could shoot the live stream.
Yeah, I would live stream off the XL. That's what I would do.
Paul Wright's got one of the new pockets. Love shooting on it.
There you go.
Yeah.
We haven't tested it yet. Like I said, we haven't
really
played
haven't.
It, but I think the reviews...
Scott's saying that the Ursa Mini 4.6K is a solid camera. It is. I've actually been impressed with that camera ever since it came out. The 4.6 version of it. The 4K version of it was what it was.
You know, at the end of the day,
yeah.
If you can tell...
It's all tech stuff. You can still
tell a great story, yeah, just tell a great story. I mean, that's all I know to say.
People tell great stories with their phones. It can be done.
Yeah, I was up to work on a feature, to DP a feature, and the director of that film had shot his previous features that went to Sundance on a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So it is completely and totally possible that if you tell a compelling story, people look past.
Oh yeah, they'll look past.
I think they can look past the visual, but not the audio.
Yes.
Crap audio, you can't get around.
Easily look past.
Yeah.
Crap video.
Yeah, I can't get past crap audio.
As long as you can still have the story come out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, more or less...
Osmo Pocket, hashtag.
Yeah, I saw that. More or less, that's it. That's what we're saying is going on. That the trends, we talked about it. We think it'll be, just a recap, we think the trends for 2019 will be anamorphic. I think we'll see moodier images.
Faux and real anamorphic.
Faux and real anamorphic. Presented in that format.
Presented in
I think we'll see moodier footage, deeper shadows, stylized content in terms of that color grade and look. I think vertical video will be a much have more weight, if you will, in the market. I think 1x1 square video will be even more prominent.
It will.
Because it works. I think 4K HDR will do nothing. I don't think it'll have a surge quite the way that maybe the TV manufacturers would like. I think we'll see a change in live content, not to just be more live content, but to be more relevant in maybe even a narratively structured format. But I think we'll see new versions of live content that's not just game streaming. I think nostalgia will be more prominent this year and going forward, but I think in 2019 nostalgia, we'll see more nostalgic pieces. The Super Bowl will tell us what the actual temperature of the...
Yeah, honestly, I could even take it down to Budweiser is going to tell us if it is or not.
Yeah.
Because Budweiser pulls out of...
Budweiser, Coke.
Budweiser and Coke are the two
that's
that
McCann,
love to hit it.
And Nike. Nike will tell us.
Yeah, and Nike sometimes will hit hard on that too.
So we'll see. That's Wyden Kennedy.
Yeah.
And then, I think the hero's journey will be more prominent in content, whether it's advertising, commercial-based, brand entertainment, whether it's just social posts. I think you're going to see more of a hero's journey, more of a storytelling aspect. That's also maybe a little bit of wishful thinking, but I do believe that's what we'll see. What, out of those, what do you think is the top one? What is the number one trend, if you had to say, also in the Chatsky, what is the number one trend that I've listed, or what is yours if you feel like commenting? What is the number one trend? What do you think it'll be?
What I think it will be is 1x1 squares.
Yeah.
I think is honest, being completely honest.
I think I'm going to say actually anamorphic.
I think nostalgia is super up there though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anamorphic is going to be a big one too.
I think anamorphic presented, faux or real presented, is going to be a big one.
It's going to be a big one. I do think more people are going to go to the straight 1x1 as it was originally intended, like on Instagram.
Right.
And go that way on media, just because it's easy for all social media to handle it.
We just shot recently for 1x1.
We did.
And are doing a reshoot because another crew picked up the back half of it and did not follow the guidelines to shoot 1x1. So we have to go reshoot. But we shot an entire piece of content. That's the first time we've ever shot truly 1x1. We did not care about the negative sides.
That was true.
So a lot of times we just crop in, but that's where we're at.
Talking about the battery pack module for the Blackmagic, like if somebody would make one of those, I saw that and it made me think of there's somebody doing a Kickstarter that I showed Drew that has been very ingenious, where they have built a battery or a handle for. It's just a universal handle for cameras that you mount onto your cage that is a battery pack inside of it. And I think it's absolutely genius.
Yeah. I know I've heard people say the battery issue with the with the Blackmagic non-pocket 4K camera is pretty terrible.
That's high on my list too, Scott. I think all of them are really high. And I was thinking super stylized, like color grades especially, is going to be a big thing in 2019.
Yeah.
But I still think 1x1 is my number one.
Yep. Cold War Jesus, the G7, the 4K Volts camera for the masses. You know, I don't know enough about it. I can't really answer it. I haven't really looked at it. So I have no idea enough about that camera.
Yeah, I saw that too, Jeff, that he got kind of crapped over by people. But it's a brilliant idea.
It really is.
It's the way to save space.
Yeah, I think it's smart.
Because like you said, you're building up a camera that's the size of a Red or bigger for a small pocket camera, or what's supposed to be a pocket camera.
Yeah. As always, though, it goes back, just be wary of the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just people.
There's a lot of trolls out there.
I mean, just people are negative, and it's so easy to get a reaction. For whatever reason, I guess that does cause some people a dopamine hit, so they do that to get their dope hit. But whatever. Baby Seal Troll Force.
Yeah.
I don't even have the no button anymore.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
No.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
No!
It's back.
And you could hear it crack when you push it from the sticker. It hasn't been touched in a while.
Yeah, this old gal. Baby Seal Troll Force, bringing it back.
Yep.
All right, I think we should probably kill the streams, Ray. I actually have work to do. I was hoping my wife and kids would come by, but she must have gotten wise to the situation. Dang it. That would have been funny.
Yeah. It would have.
I think she's probably in the carpool line watching this right now.
Either that or maybe she's standing right outside the door since we've been talking the whole time.
Since she needed
we would have heard the
thumbtack.
kids.
Yeah.
We would have heard the kids.
Yeah, they would have been screaming.
Yeah.
They're terror. They're delightful.
Yep.
All right, killing the streams, Ray. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. Comment if you are in the past.
Yeah, and
watching this.
2019, we'll try to make this a more regular thing.
Mostly infrequent.
Yes. Mostly frequent, infrequent.
Infrequency.
Infrequency.
There we go. Mostly frequent infrequency.
There we go.
That's like an REM song or album.
Probably was. It's probably an album.
With Kenneth.